Hello, hello. We're playing Password again. I thought I was gonna be able to take a break, catching up with the route, and then a new update happened, and it just so happened to be Tyson's day 18. So we're doing that. uh, Might as well just get right into it, right? That's what everyone wants. I knew I was dreaming before I could question if I was or not, if I was awake or not. Home. It was the last thing I had been thinking of when talking to Ty before bed. It was the thing that I was holding on to as a safe place to return to. I found myself standing in the front yard and in my street. It was familiar, it was safe, and it was something far removed from all of my troubles at the mansion. But just thinking about my troubles made me remember what was looming over me in a couple days, specifically how many I don't know, but that was a job for the coming days. The Volt, or Thanatos, had told me at least. The full moon was going to be the next marker. Yeah, and when something was going to go wrong. If I hadn't seen it myself, I might have not believed him. Part of me wondered if I still did, knowing full well that Tyson wasn't a werewolf. He can't be. He couldn't be. They just don't exist. But the reality that he'd kill Orlando was hard to shake after I'd seen the state of Orlando's body and Tyson in the light of the full moon, covered in blood. How did I do his voice before? Oh no, it's been like 3 days since I've recorded for Password. Damn it. It's been more than that. Shit. Uh, so what are you going to do tomorrow now? Hearing that Thanatos in my dream talks sent chills up my spine. He was taunting me to do something. Not that I needed the encouragement. I was going to save Tyson and Orlando. I just needed to figure out how. But the prospect made my head hurt, and as it surged through my system, the dream began to fade. Come on, Junior. It's all on you now. I knew it was, but the stress of worrying about screwing it up made my headache all the worse. As I opened my eyes, my head was killing me with a splitting headache, similar to the one yesterday, but mild enough that I was able to at least sit up and ease myself into being awake proper. I had things I needed to do today, mostly just checking in on Ty, maybe Orlando, and figuring out when the next full moon was. Then I had to follow up on why my parents were here and what the connection was. I had to be more than what I'd been told already, but maybe I was just being hopeful. Grumbling, I clutched my head and got out of bed, throwing on some clothes before grabbing my phone and making my way downstairs. By the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I realized how quiet it was for the time. Oh! Dean's voice echoing out from the dining room alerted me to someone else at least being up, and I followed the scent of coffee that hit me soon after into the dining room. When I took my first step into the dining room, though. Huh? Good morning! Man, so I was like catching up with a friend, and they started watching this playthrough, which, that sucks. I don't want my friends to know I do this shit. And they were like, you like Dean? He seems terrible. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, yeah, I know I'm on the Tyson route because I'm all aboard that, that wolf train. But there's nothing wrong with Dean. He's a nice boy. They were like, oh, he's basically like sexually harassing like the main protagonist. I'm like, nah, I don't know. It doesn't feel that way to me anyway. Then again, I'm used to how, like, this shit is written, so I almost just think of it as, like, a gay fantasy thing, so whatever. Before me was Dean sitting at the table with a cup of coffee, but with him standing on the table was Thanatos, seemingly getting manhandled and none too happy about it. What are you doing? Well, just enjoying a drunk of coffee when this little guy showed up. It seemed friendly enough. What makes you say that? Well, he hasn't bitten me yet. I looked at Thanatos, uncertain. All he did was give me a look somewhat between annoyed and a plea for help. Should you really be messing with a rat you found? What if it has, a disease? Can't be a wild one, see? He has a collar. That makes him a pet, right? Again, I looked at Thanatos, who seemed to just about ready to bite something, but had remained quiet this whole time. Maybe, but he doesn't seem to like you messing around with him like that. If he didn't, I'm sure he'd let me know. As if taking the invitation, Thanatos quickly bit down on Dean's hand, freeing himself. Ow! Told you. You're a lot bigger than him. You might have hurt him. You think so? I don't see how I could hurt him. Why not? A set of lazy footfalls enter the room, distracted the both of us from Thanatos still being on the table to look at Oswin as he enters the foyer. Good morning. Morning. Hey, Oswin, I found this rat. Does he belong to you? With a sigh, Oswin looks down to Thanatos. He may as well. I hope he hasn't been misbehaving. Well, he did just bite me. You were treating him like kinda rough, though. Yes, well, I'll be taking him back now. Come along, Thanatos. Thanatos looked back towards Dean, then me, putting on his spot on the table. Staying put on his spot on the table. Thanatos, I swear, I will pick you up by the scruff if I have to. Wouldn't that hurt him? Trust me, he'll be fine. Sure, I guess so. Before anyone could say anything, Oswin picked up Thanatos, looking him over. Next time, stay in your damn cage. He was unceremoniously shoved into one of Oswin's pockets and out of sight in a flash, leaving the three of us in silence. Sorry about that. He's prone to misbehaving. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off to go make myself some coffee. I'll bring one out for you as well before I head to bed, Dave. Isn't it the morning? You're going off to bed? That sounds like my schedule. I take a seat next to Dean, and the two of us watched Oswin disappear into the kitchen. When he was out of sight, Dean put an arm over the back of my chair and leaned in close. Do you reckon he knows that rat is alive? Isn't alive? Knows that rat isn't alive? I spun my head around to look at Dean, eyes bulging out of my head. What do you mean? Well, it looks alive, but it's not. It's gotta be robotic. No way a normal rat is that heavy. Plus that bite. He showed me his hand, still wiping with a small trickle of blood. That was some biting force. Dean, you're bleeding! It'll stop soon enough. Good thing my hands are a little, calloused? Yeah, from yard work, huh? Coffee for Dave? Should anyone need me today, let Benson know and he can come get me. I have some things to attend to. What things? Disciplining a rat for starters, but mostly just making sure everything's in its place. Would not hurt to make sure the Volt is still operational, should the worst happen. It's been a few days since anything happened. Think we're still at risk? I can't confirm that we're not. And it's not as if I have anything better to do. You stick around, you could stick around for the rest of us, and maybe we could watch a movie. I shall pass, thank you. Although there's some merit in your idea. If Thanatos wasn't a factor, I wouldn't have minded a dip in the tub. Even with people in the woods? I wouldn't go unarmed, mind you. Although, I do see some level of carelessness in that. So is going outside, just out of the question. In the back of my mind, the thought of Thanatos taking me all the way into the hedge maze made me wonder how much of a risk I had taken by following him on his whims. Alone, perhaps, but so long as there's someone with you, or if you're armed, or perhaps hidden enough, it should be fine. He stroked his beard soon after, thinking it over. Well, I'll be going now. If something comes up, tell Benson. I warmed my hand with the coffee he brought me, watching him leave before turning to Dean. Where were we? Ah, yeah, you're bleeding. I said I'm fine. It's already slowing down, although stings a little. Serves you right for messing with an animal like that. You mean robot. You don't know that. Guess not. Although, if you get a chance to hold that rat, you tell me how it compares to a regular one. I drank my coffee and wondered why Thanatos had come to the dining room. Why? What was here? Was he waiting for someone? Not that I had much in the way of time to talk about it before everyone else started arriving for dinner, for breakfast. Ugh. See, I'm already mixing things up because fucking Osmond was like, I'm going to bed. I don't know. Oh, good morning, you two. Normally you two are up before I am. Given how things have been lately, I've been getting what sleep while I can. I've been awake for a while, but just resting in bed. While it may not be sleep, I'll take what I can get. Shut the fuck up, you fat fuck. Tyson, that's aggressive. Those of us already in the room looked at one another before I groaned into my coffee. Tyson's awake. And picking on Orlando by the sounds of it. Well, we don't know that just yet. The day we got on the bus, I was feeling similar emotions to what Tyson is feeling right now. Harsh. And Dean stood to say something, but before he could, Tyson came storming in, looking upset about something. No one say a fucking word. His gaze went immediately to me. When I opened my mouth to say good morning, it was enough to tell me that I was excluded in his sweeping demand. He made his way down the room into the kitchen, shoulders hunched and fur bristled. The door slammed closed behind him, the sound echoing through the room. Orlando stomped into the room, looking just as tense and looking at each of us, much like Tyson did. What? Are you okay? He's an asshole. I didn't even do anything. Orlando, what did you do? I mean, what did you say? Nothing. Okay, what did you say? He just said that he didn't say anything. All I asked was if he was feeling better after yesterday. Orlando. Okay, so there was a little bit more sass in there when I asked. And how much more sass? Roswell made himself known at this point, having arrived shortly behind Orlando. I believe it was, good morning. Do you think you're going to be less of an asshole today, or should I go back to bed? Orlando, go apologize. That's not a good idea. Not while he's in such a mood, as he's in. Then after. Fine, but I'm not going anywhere near him until he's calmed down. Dean rose properly from his chair and downed the rest of his coffee before wandering over to Haas, clapping him on the shoulder. Everyone sit tight. Haas and I will go talk to Tyson and get breakfast going. I should get something for my hand, and we can't just not have breakfast. Yeah, you can. Be careful. Oh, I will. Don't think he can do much to me anyway. Dean and Haas wandered off into the kitchen, and the moment they did, Tyson started yelling with Dean. Oh boy. If anything was a reminder of what I had to avoid, and Tyson was getting worse it seems. Whatever the cause was, I had to figure it out and do something to stop it. By the time the three of them emerged from the kitchen, it was almost like it was back to the first day we arrived. Tyson was up near the end of the table, and the rest of us were tiredly eating breakfast with just as tired smiles on our faces. I kept looking down the table to Tyson, wondering what I should do. Did he want company? Did he need company? Or did I just want to be around him, given he was all by himself? As for me, I was worried. We'd almost been here 3 weeks, and there was still no telling when we could go back home with the road the way it was. I took it upon myself to quietly clean the table, taking the plates and cutlery into the kitchen, and began to wash the dishes while I thought things out. Just having the time to mull it over while I kept my hands busy helped, and one of the reasons why I'd like to do arts and crafts was I was just waiting for the time to go by. But when all the dishes were done, I knew the only way forward was to talk out my worries with someone else, and I knew just who to go to. Ty? I'd seen him wander downstairs, which to me reads that he was heading towards the gym, given he wanted to be left alone, maybe vent some anger. The gym made sense to me. But I looked around, he wasn't here. I couldn't hear a sound of the punching bag getting struck either. I backed out, looked around the basement. It was cold and dark, but most importantly, quiet. Are you down here? What do you want? He stepped out from where he had been standing against the wall in the corner. Whether or not we'd just missed each other or he watched me walk right past him, I didn't know. I wanted to talk. He huffed, tensed up. Not now, my head's hurting. Right, well, after yesterday, I just want to make sure you're okay, and I stopped myself, wondering if it was best to tell him or not. He was barely looking at me, but was at least giving me the space to speak my mind. Something happened, and I'd love your help if you were able to. Dude, I don't know. I'd love to just go back to bed. Well, I'm not going to force you, but I guess there's nothing else to add there. I'm not going to force you. He looked at me curiously before sighing, shaking his head. What do you want to talk about? Can I be blunt? If you're going to chew me out for what happened this morning, you can fuck right off. No, it's not that. Good, then what? I used the vault yesterday. Am I going to die again? The way he said it sounded sarcastic. It was either he didn't believe me or just his mood souring this attitude towards the conversation. Not exactly, but I gotta ask you, have you ever thought about... Spit it out. Do you have any reason to kill Orlando? Huh? He was a little stunned by the question, but seemed to be think about it, brow furrowed and quiet before he came back with his answer. So Orlando's gonna die next. That's what the Volt showed me, at least. It's why yesterday was a bit... I don't know. Nah, I get it. You see that shit, and no wonder you came running to grill me about what was wrong. Well, no. That happened after I talked to you in Orlando. Then what the fuck were you asking... Then why the fuck were you asking me shit yesterday? Just, I had a hunch something was wrong, and I figured I'd check. Fine. So, you have no reason to kill Orlando? Unless he's gonna come out and say that he's one of the one that fucked up this vacation and blew up the road. Can't say I do. And you're not a werewolf, right? What? Do you realize how dumb that sounds right now? Those don't exist, just wolves. Well, I don't know, just had to ask. Was there anything else? I looked at him warily before shaking my head. Not on that, at least. He looked at me expectantly, tilting his head. What is it? Something else came up yesterday, but I'll need you to come up to my room for it. Can't you bring it down here? I suppose I could, but I don't know. Privacy might be nice for this. I don't really know what it means yet. Then how the fuck am I meant to help? Please just come up to my room. You can leave after, I promise. You're not going to take no for an answer either way, huh? Well, no, not really. Fine, but this better be good. Quietly, we made our way upstairs. The others seemed to be off doing other things, far enough away that Tyson and I went unnoticed as we headed towards the bedroom. Oh. I hadn't showed you anything yet. Not that. It's quieter in here. Because, fuck if I know, just is. You mean compared to the basement or your room? My room has this kind of high-pitched buzz to it. Drives me nuts. Ty, you've been putting up with that for almost 3 weeks now? Why didn't you say anything? Not 3 weeks, just every now and again. Figured I just imagined it, but it was because the house was old. Don't ask me. Let's put a pin in that, because I want to show you this thing, but if there's something going on with your room, well, then hurry up. I rolled my eyes, snatching up Dad's license from where I stashed it, and sat down on the bed when Ty didn't follow suit immediately after. I pulled on his arm until he was sitting next to me. So I found this yesterday. Handing him the card, I watched his expression shift between being annoyed to confused to surprised, then right back to being annoyed. David's license? He was here, Ty, multiple times. That doesn't make any sense. Why'd he come all the way out here? When? When I asked Oswin, he said it was stuff regarding work, an investigation or something. But that's not the reason he kept coming back. What? Dad knew that he was going to die. He came here that night it happened after he left work. That night he came here. Ty's nose scrunched up and he started to snarl. At no point in particular, but he wasn't taking the information well. Ty? That bastard came here knowing he was going to die? After the talk we had and everything? The guy talk? Yeah. Didn't he think he was having that chat because we literally couldn't have it any other time? But it was a good conversation, right? At the time, I fucking thought so. With a groan, he flopped back onto the bed and started teasing the fur on his collar, staring at the ceiling. Asshole. Ty, that's my dad you're talking about. Yeah, well, you don't get it. Then help me get it. I watched him as he sulked on the bed, not trying... Oh, sorry. I watched him as he sulked on the bed, not saying more words. Fine, don't tell me. Tell me later. Don't tell me now. Tell me later. We're not done. He grunted, and I took that as permission to keep talking. Mom was here too, a little while after Dad died. Again, he grunted, although I got the impression that he didn't really care. Both of my parents were here, Ty. Now I'm here, going through all this stuff with the vault and just... Isn't it odd? Why's all this happening? I left out the part of Dad seeing me die for a reason. Part of me wasn't sure I fully believed Oswin about it, and I didn't want to pick any fights over it just in case. Huh. I don't know, I think a fly bit me earlier. I remember one was like buzzing around the house, but I just noticed like a bite on my hand. That kind of sucks. Now it's just itchy. Like, what the fuck? That's so annoying. What does it matter? Your dad is dead. Your mom doesn't care about you. Who fucking cares? Tyson, that's so aggressive. What he had said stunned me, and he sat up quickly, grumbling. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. What I mean is, like, what's it going to change if we find out now? It's not going to change anything for us now, and it's sure as hell not going to change anything going home. I guess so. Now tell me what you really feel. There just has to be something to this, right? How realistic is it to expect that Dad came here, died, then Mom came here, and now I'm here? Don't know. Roswell invited you here, right? Ask him. I guess that's a place to start. Are we done now? Well, what now? I don't know, Ty. I'm worried. What if you accidentally kill Orlando after all? What would happen to you afterwards? Nothing. We go off this mountain. We got off this mountain. Nothing until we get off this mountain. Yeah, that's fire. I don't think that's true. You'll have to deal with what the others would think. Plus, in the moment, what if one of them panics and Dave, listen to me very carefully. You need to shut up. What do you mean? I don't want to hear about me getting killed, especially with this headache. It's getting better, but fuck, give me a break. You're not worried at all? I'm worried when you're worried, sure. I just don't go panicking about shit that hasn't happened yet. He shoved me gently, and I let myself flop onto the bed beside him. Like I said last night, I'd get a gun and it'll be fine. You're the one at risk of doing the killing, remember? Gun isn't for me. I'll give it to Dean or you or hell, even Orlando. I act up, shoot me. I sat up again in a panic, eyes wide. In the lake, dumbass. Somewhere I won't eat shit and die in case it's a misunderstanding. I relax a bit, but startled to fiddle with my hands, unsure. How long have we got? I don't know. You got nothing? Only that it's the next full moon. Fucking great. Explains the werewolf thing, though. I'll ask Haas when the next full moon is later. You think he'd know? Well, I'm not asking Roswell. Okay. Once more, I fell back onto the bed and stared at the ceiling, much in the same way Ty had moments before. He copied me, laying back and sighing as he got comfortable. Shit's fucked, right? Sure, yeah. I mean, things are messed up. You swear a lot, you know that? I'm in pain, give me a fucking break. I chuckled to myself, snickering at first before rolling into a quiet laugh. You're a swearwolf, Ty. He reached over and grabbed a pillow, whapping me across the chest, but it didn't stop my laughter. God, you're a pain. You like it. Maybe. We got comfortable on the bed, and Ty cuddled me from behind. Before long, we were peacefully asleep, snoring quietly behind me. He was peacefully asleep, snoring quietly behind me. Okay. As for me, though, I just lay there comfortably with my thoughts, wondering what my next move was. My mind kept coming back to wondering what had tried to kill Tyson the first time, and how we'd ended up afterwards. The very thought made me tremble, but the hand Tyson had hooked around my chest rubbed me idly as he slept. How much was he conscious? How much was he aware of how I was feeling while he was asleep? There was too many things going through my head, and that led me to thinking about how much was too much. Me overthinking things like this was just normal, especially when it came to people you loved. But that was just it. My love for Tyson was not just platonic, brotherly love. The more I thought about it, my heart ached for something I just couldn't have, and felt I had no reason to ask for it. Not that he hadn't already made that blatantly clear, but at what point was it just going to start to drive a wedge between us? What we had right now was brotherly. It was nice, but I feared that it wasn't going to be enough for me moving forward. No wonder I was pushed towards Dean. Maybe he just knew that it wasn't meant to be. Eventually I got up, wiggling out of Tyson's grasp and replacing myself with another pillow. The idea that his room was louder confused me, but it bothered me enough that I wanted to see for myself, if only to check. Finding myself in his room was strange without him being in it. Almost like I was trespassing somewhere I shouldn't, despite it being a borrowed room to begin with. But the room didn't sound any different, even when I closed my eyes just to focus. As far as I could tell, it was just the same as my room. What are you doing? Thanatos? What? What are you doing? I asked you first. I was checking out Tyson's room. He's not here. Yeah, he's in my room right now. Well, aren't you clever? What did I do? I just wanted to talk about the license stuff. Right. I did tell you about that yesterday, didn't I? Didn't explain why you're in his room, though. What's it to you? Well, Ty said that his room was loud, plus his headache. It's all just, I don't know, strange? Strange in what way? Why would his room be louder than mine if this is soundproof? That's not how soundproofing works. It explained why no one else has mentioned hearing anything coming from Ty's room, though, right? Got me there. You're right. That would stop the sound from getting out for sure. Then time to start looking for the source of the sound. You can tell me why you're here while I look. Fat chance that's gonna happen. Grumbling, I wander over, checking Tyson's things. Nothing really stood out, just piles of clothes. Ty didn't have much in the way of stuff, but there was a notable pile of things that looked like he'd taken just from around the house. He's a thief, you know. I know, I'm gonna talk to him about it. As I was checking under his bed, Thanatos wandered over and stood next to me, peering under the bed as well. Expecting to see a monster under the bed? I was just hoping to find something to hint towards what Tyson is hearing, like how my room was bugged or something. Good luck finding anything. There's nothing like that here. What makes you so sure? Those times you heard Oswin, that was me under your bed. Really? His smug grin made me wonder if this was just a ruse or if he was telling the truth. Really? Easier to communicate using my collar than setting up a complete set of bugs. Don't need video either, just audio, so I can stay out of sight. Pulling my head out from Ty's bed, I frowned at Thanatos and shook my head. I don't believe you. Do or don't, doesn't bother me either way. Thanatos, what do you think Tyson is hearing? Could be anything. I'm not seeing anything that could have made a sound, so unless it's his phone or... I looked to Thanatos again, who wore yet another smug grin. Were you in his room this morning? I don't know what you're talking about. If you were in his room, you could, like, I don't know, play loud music or something. Music? Nah, but something like this, though. I covered my ears as suddenly a high-pitched tone sounded. It was hard to tell if it was loud, but it hurt my ears all the same. Okay, stop. You sure? Yes, quit it. As soon as it started to stop, a faint ringing in my head remained as I gathered my thoughts. What was that? You wanted my best approximation of what could play? Well, yes, but that was awful. What did you expect? Not exactly the same thing that Tyson heard, but you wouldn't be able to hear what he did anyway. So it was you. Why? I'm just following orders. But orders? From who? My master. Wanted to run a test and let me pick the parameters. Don't really know when I came up with the idea, but this isn't the first time. Since we've been here? Across my okay. So even after yesterday, you still went through with tormenting Ty? Thanatos shook his head, struggling. Yes, 'cause I'm just doing what I was programmed to do. I get some freedoms, but I still do what I'm told, for the right person anyway. Then what happens now that I know? Well, I haven't been given a specific instruction for if you found out. Guess you just have to do something about it to stop what's going on to happen. And you don't feel bad about it at all? You're talking to a machine, Junior. You're the one who said you were bored. Which is it? Call it ambiguous commands. You try waking up for the first time in the timeline and already know everything about your master before you've been introduced. That doesn't sound like an ambiguous command. What was so ambiguous about it? All I was told was to push Tyson into going nuts on the full moon by hiding in his room. No specifics, no plans for it, if you found out and nothing. And the boredom thing? Why does it matter? What should matter is what you intend to do about my commands, telling me to mess with your friend. Do you really not care? Like I told you, I wasn't made to feel empathy, just fulfill my commands, and that's it. I command you to tell me what your commands are. Points for trying, but that's not gonna work. If my command is to entertain myself, then that's a lot of processing to be done. Just as well that I exist outside the normal timeline. So you're going to just be bothering Tyson until the full moon? As long as he's in his room. A few moments passed before it clicks, and I sat up. Oh, I get it. Good. Maybe we'll both get what we want. What do you want? What could something like you even want? Whatever you can imagine is going to be more exciting than any lie I could come up with. Right, well, okay then. What are you going to do now? Probably go back to Ty and see what he's doing. Good. I have someone I need to check in with too, so open the door for me and we can leave. Who? Not going to get that out of me. Nice try. Is it Florencia? She's dead, right? But I don't believe that because she hasn't shown up. Was she dead? Oh no, I've already forgotten that conversation. I'm not gonna try to figure it out. Whatever. After some more prodding with no results, I left the room and Thanatos basically ran over my foot to stop myself from getting locked in again. Watched him disappear downstairs and out of sight, but for the most part, I felt that saving Ty was going to be much easier now. But it was only after he disappeared that I realized I missed my chance to question him about his appearance just before breakfast. But I was sure I'd be able to ask him later. Ty? Closing this door behind me as I stepped into my own room, he murmured in his sleep. Huh? What? Sorry, just making sure you're still here. Of course I'm still here. Why the fuck would I leave? Did you want to sleep more? I was sleeping before you woke me up. Right, sorry. Don't worry about it. Just get back here. Why? Look, I'm still tired, so just get over here, alright? I'm gonna go over to the bed. Okay. He sat up a little as I got closer, and he mentioned with his head for me to lay down again, swiveled around so we were actually using the bed properly compared to when he fell asleep before. We'll get a couple hours in, have lunch, then go do something after. Just us. Sure, that's probably fine. The moment I laid down was... The moment I lay down, he was behind me, pulling me in close with his arm around my chest again. My head still hurts, but it's getting better. Much like before, it wasn't long before Ty was out like a light and just cuddled up in front of him. I found myself drifting away. I didn't dream, but I did sleep, or rather, instead of dream, I had vague colors and scents just cross my barely conscious mind as I lay there. Nothing in particular, just remnants of pleasant memories flashing across my mind, but I welcomed them all the same. After I napped, that lasted longer than we both intended. We made our way downstairs to get some lunch. Grilled cheese? Yeah. He shrugged and took a seat while I carried bread and cheese over to the counter to start putting things together. Hey, listen, thanks for that before. For what? The nap. I needed it. It's not like I could have handed you a candy bar and that'd make you feel better. That only works on Roswell. I'm not a kid either. You don't have to be a kid to like candy either, Ty. Just, I don't know. Candy makes me feel better sometimes. You're lucky you're not as fat as Orlando or Roswell then. Don't call them fat. They're just, I tried to think of a nicer way to phrase it, but Ty wasn't wrong. They both could afford to cut back on the snacks, the snack foods. Well, you can afford to eat more. I would if you'd hurry up and make my sandwich. Wow, is this just all I'm good for now? Given how fast that sandwich is happening, not at all. Besides, I've been trying. It's just hard, unless I eat at yours. Yeah, so 2 grilled cheese sandwiches then? 1.5, I'll split it with you. Sure. While I continued to work, Ty mentioned remained there quiet. watching me as I moved about the kitchen, and then while I watched the cheese grill, yeah, okay, his eyes not leaving me once. Listen, Dave, how are you doing? Really? What do you mean? Just want to check. I sat down next to him, sliding over his lunch while I looked at mine to think over his question. I think I'm doing okay. It hasn't even been a week, and things feel both tender and not tender at the same time. Then there's other things on my mind with what happens outside, and just, I get it. You do? Maybe not exactly, but sounds like too much. How many days have we been here, Ty? Please tell me the month is almost over so we can go home. Haven't been keeping count. Maybe a week left? Probably more. Right, yeah. I hung my head, and I could hear Tyson crunching his sandwich, heavily devouring what he had, and sighing out while I nibbled on the first that existed from what Ty didn't want. Not hungry? Just troubled. Did you want more? I'm not taking food off your plate, Dave. I took the full sandwich and put it on his, continuing to nibble on the piece I had. Dad would want me to share with my brother. I caught his flinching at the comment, but he took the sandwich all the same and started to eat again, although slower this time. What did you and Dad talk about that day, anyway? He ate slower again, keeping his gaze away from me while I tried to make eye contact. Still too soon for me to know? It's just messy stuff. I'll tell you later. Why do you want to know now, anyway? It was one of the last conversations he had before I never saw him again, so... Ever think that's why I don't want to tell you? Wait, you knew and that he wouldn't be coming back? That's not what I said, but it was heavy stuff. Remember, we took a fucking hour to go over everything. He got up, downing the rest of his sandwich and taking the plate from me despite me not being finished. Hurry up, we're going somewhere. Where? Hurry up and I'll show you. Taking both the plates over to the sink, he left them there before taking the door leading towards the foyer, rather than cutting through the dining room. Oh, so there's an entrance to the kitchen from the foyer? That's kind of neat. Yeah. I took a few moments longer to finish eating before following Ty into the direction he went, spotting him leaving out the back door. Remaining by the door, I looked around in case there was anyone else out here with us. I couldn't see any flashes of white among the trees, just Ty standing out in the grass waiting for me. Come on, it's fine. He reached out and rushed over to take my hand, holding it tight. We're gonna do something. Do what? Put your mind at ease, so just trust me on this. All right. He led me over to the spot in the yard where the two of us and Dean talked about what might have caused Tyson to die. Hang on, I gotta find something. I buried it here. What were you doing burying stuff over here? Figured that it was that if someone's gonna try doing me, and may as well prepare something just in case. Like... Ty gets on his knees and starts to dig around the soil, slowing down once he got to a certain point, and then sat down with a dirty knife in front of him. Like a knife, just in case, you know. So I had a weapon. But why did you even bury this here? He shrugged, picking the knife up and holding it over to me. Why? It looks like a regular kitchen knife, but I guess that makes sense given how accessible the thing in the kitchen was. Is this just a spare one? Went looking and found an older one in one of the drawers, assumed no one would notice if it was missing, if all the ones in the knife block were still there. I guess that's smart. We're out here to teach you to defend yourself. Also something else. Like what? Tell me about this guy that chased you in the forest. The rabbit? Yeah. Take this knife and describe him to me. Just trust me. You'll feel better while you're holding a knife. Taking the knife in hand, I breathe in, Looking at just how dirty it was, probably blunt too. Well, he appeared in when I was in the watermill, and then brought me outside, and then didn't really want to let me go, I think. That doesn't tell me much. What's there to really tell? He followed me when I tried to head back, and had a knife, and then he chased me back here. Think he would have caught you if he wanted. Yeah, he was faster than me. Shit. Who does that anyway? What a psycho. What do you mean? I'm thinking about in terms of how you bully someone. If he wanted to kill you, he would have. This isn't making me feel any better, Ty. That's the point. He was just playing with you in the most fucked up way possible. Which makes me wonder why. He grabbed me and held a knife to my throat. Yeah, and if this guy was working for a mob, then why didn't he just do it? Because of the gunshot? I meant before that. Like, shit, why go through the motions if you're being hired to kill someone? Maybe he's a bad assassin. Do you really think that? I looked down at the knife in my hand and then back to Ty. He let me go to the house and then... Did Jack really try and kill me? Was it just to put on a show? I could feel the knife on the back of my neck. My neck still. The way it bit against my skin under the fur. Wait, was his goal? Ty shrugged. He looked into the forest, squinting through the dark before looking back to me. Scare the shit out of you? Dunno. Maybe the mob just works that way. Could ask Orlando, maybe. All I got as a reply from that was Ty loudly scoffing at the idea, looking back at the house. Reckon he's working with him. Who, Orlando? Don't think so, given many reasons. Such as... He's soft. Like me. He doesn't like to fight, or the typical doing bad things in general. So that's a bust. What about Dean? What about Dean? When we were talking about this like a week ago, he mentioned a bear. I think he meant a wild one. And if he didn't? You didn't suspect Dean all of a sudden, can you? No, but I don't have much to fucking go on, do I? I just don't want you getting hurt. And this is teaching me how to defend myself? Oh, right. Ty reached out and grabbed the knife off me, but grabbing a chunk of fur just under where my ear ended. The moment it was tugged, I yelped, a squinting pain coursing through my body. First tip: you can just grab here and yank. Something I picked up at some point. So just do that if I'm being attacked. If you've been grabbed, maybe. Otherwise, just... He bumped me quickly, somewhere under the rib. Not hard, but enough to show where he was talking. Hit someone there, will win them. You remember that one. Oh, right. Another thing to use if you need to get away. And the knife? If you're going to use it, stab it anywhere that's going to hurt. What if I kill them? The fuck do you mean? You're only meant to do this if you're being attacked, if they're attacking you. That's why you'd have the knife. He knelt? And started burying it again, patting the soil when he was done. That help? Just remember there's a knife here, just in case you need it. Ty, did we really need to come out here for this? We could have gone over this indoors. There was no reason to come out here. I wanted you out here to show you it isn't scary. You weren't the one that got chased, Ty. No, but this is something I've noticed, that I've noticed Haas doing. He leaned on a tree and reached out for my hand. Unsure of what he was doing, I took it and followed his gaze into the forest. He just does this thing where you say you don't like something and exposes it to you a little bit at a time. Like vegetables? I guess. I mean more like just friendly bullshit, just like hugging and touching. Like, we hug and it's not gay because it's just you. You're my brother. Haas hugs me and he fidgets, scratching his neck. It's what? It's annoying as hell. He does it because it gets a reaction out of me, but it's not bad at all. Anime is fine, and having a friend is nice. You'd probably get along just as well with the others, too, if you tried. One thing at a time, Dave, and we have other shit to worry about. But outside is fine. Being out here is fine. Just the stuff in there though, worry about that. I don't think this is helping all that much. Want to go back inside then? I strained to look into the dark. No movement, no sound beyond the faint sounds of nature around us. It almost looked peaceful. Maybe just a little longer before we do. It's not so bad. I can't see anyone else in there. Yes, I think we'll end this part here. Kind of exciting. Always love spending time with Tyson. So, see you next time, everyone.